My first instrument was saxophone when I was 5, and then I migrated to the drum set when I was around 7. My father played drums and saxophone, and I lost my first set of teeth and started playing the drums because of that. My grandfather played drums as well, so it kind of runs in the family. And I think I was the first of our 3 generations to do it for a living solely. I started studying privately with a guy named John Woolley when I was about 9, then with Keith Copeland, then a guy named Tony Tedesco, and then the great Alan Dawson. So that was all of my formal training on the instrument. But then, of course, there's the School of Hard Knocks and all the informal training that we get from all the musicians that we come across over the years. And my situation was pretty special because my dad knew everybody. So I remember being on stage when I was 5 with Rahsaan Roland Kirk, and then around 7 with Illinois Jacquet, and Clark Terry when I was 10. And those, I think those 3 situations really propelled me into wanting to do this. When people like Dizzy Gillespie came to town, or Les McCann, or even the drummers, Buddy Rich, Elvin Jones, Roy Haynes, Max Roach, Art Blakey, they would all have me play, sitting with their bands. I got my endorsements when I was 11 because of sitting in with Buddy Rich. So my childhood was pretty charmed, I would say, and I was very fortunate. Yes. Well, you know what? There were 2. I can't remember which one came first. But when I was 10, I did a gig as a leader at a church in Boston. And the band was Richard Reed on bass and James Williams on piano, my dad on sax, and a guy named Greg Hopkins on trumpet. Then I also played at 10 with Clark Terry's East Coast, West Coast Jazz Giants at the Wichita Jazz Festival. And I was a guest along with a very young Diane Reeves. And that's when our friendship developed. But that band was amazing. It was Eddie Lockjaw Davis, Al Cohen, Garnett Brown, Louie Bellson was the drummer. I was a guest, so he was the main drummer. And George DeVivier on bass and Jimmy Rowles on piano. So one of the 2 of those was my first paying gig.
And do you remember what each paid?
I think with Clark, I think it was $200.
Whoa.
This was 1976. The church gig, I'm not sure what that paid. Currently, I'm the Zildjian chair in percussion at Berklee's Global Jazz Institute. And I have, well, a lot of them are grad students, master's students, and then there are some undergrads too that are in this program. Danilo Perez is the artistic director of the program, and it's been great because I'm working with very high-level students, and I'm not necessarily dealing with the meat and potatoes of it so much anymore, as far as like rudiments and reading. These are all students that I think they want to understand more about the subtleties and nuances that make a musician great opposed to good. And I always say I can't like teach you how to do that or be that, but I can point you in the direction. But I think at some point, once you reach a certain level, it's really more about self-discovery. You have to have that, that part of you that wants to unlock the mysteries. Because it is a very mysterious and mystical thing that we do. And you have to have that yearning inside of you to take that journey, because you're not doing it for fame, you're not doing it for money. It's really, I think, about a mission and a calling. And I talk to them about those kinds of things and, try to help them with some shortcuts, though we know there's not too many. But there's probably some things that you can say or show somebody that really helps them get to their next phase a little faster. So that's what I focus on. I'm the most undisciplined person that I know, actually. So I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what do I have to do? I have a million things to do. Let me just try to knock out a few and see what happens. I wish I had more time or made more time to practice, I know that much. But through teaching, I think it keeps me motivated, keeps me current in a way. And I do like to have some time to myself before performances. I like to settle my mind, and this is a relatively new thing over the last several years. Before I could be scattered and go on stage, but now I realize that I have to take some time and think about what I'm about to do, and that always seems to make a better performance. I do like to take walks sometimes. I just don't get to normally on show days if it's all the travel, but when I'm home, I have a pond that I like to walk around. There's 2 miles around the pond, so that's a bit of a chill out moment for me.